All right, killer. We are back. We are back and we are ready to get going here. We are going to transition into group therapy. This is an opportunity to hear from each of the characters and how they feel about the current situation and what is going on in the story right now. So I'll go ahead. Excuse me. I'll start with Egner. And Egner is mostly just very tired. He's very tired, and knowing that he's going back to his encampment is a comforting thought because that is where he feels the most safe, the most secure. But he is also kind of disturbed that the fact that there's just going to be a bunch of people that he doesn't really know around, like the party members are there, but he's opening up his whole area to the druids. And Egner's also very cognizant of all of the potential conflicts that can happen. You've got the druids that are at each other's throats, and then you also have this tension that is arising between Eridu and Alton. So,
Well, technically, there's no tension yet. I mean,
Yeah.
let's.
well,
No,
okay.
Eridu is unfamiliar or unaware of any
Oh,
sort of
okay.
tension.
All right.
So
So in that case, he's thinking,
So there's
well,
just a little ball of tension
sure, yeah, and he's
that you may
thinking,
not have been paying attention
yeah.
to.
So he's pretty much just thinking about the druids, and is thinking about how he just wants to get some sleep, but he also feels like he's gonna have to be Mr. Policeman a little bit.
Go ahead.
yeah, so Eridu is he's feeling pretty relieved actually. He is successfully he feels like, kind of helped to get these druids back together, back hopefully on a track that allows them to to achieve their goals in a way that isn't going to fuck up the world. Um, but he's also kind of going through this realization that many things aren't really his problem and aren't really his fight. And the responsibility that he's felt towards the druid is a little bit misplaced. Like he's put a lot of that on himself, and he really didn't need to. So that's kind of where he's at now, and he is unaware of a little ball of tension.
Yeah. And Alton is that little ball of tension, and he is for the last 3 hours, while Eigner was talking about his dream, and assuming that, and the lot of them just kind of like not really thinking about it, and he has been very quietly stewing about um, um, he's been quietly stewing about the uh, taking the bad druids, as far as the assaulting druids back to Eigner's camp. As far as he's concerned, they deserve no quarter, and so he is quite angry, and he is, especially right now. And Eridu doesn't know it, but he's especially angry with Eridu because it was bad enough that Eigner made the call to leave them behind and not deal with them in the way that they should have been dealt with, or the way that he feels they shouldn't be dealt with. But Eridu bringing them to safety has put him over the top. He is, and no one has addressed him or addressed the situation, and he is. Everybody thinks it's fine, so he is not. He's not happy or pleased or anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was group therapy. Uh, Most of you probably know the drill by now. We've got some regular viewers. So thank you, everyone that's coming back to this again and again, getting more of the story out. But after group therapy, the game goes on. And similar to the other sessions in this episode, I will be hijacking a character for the first couple of minutes.
I wonder who it could be.
It was initially Eigner Bosh, then it was Alton Brightmoon, and so obviously it's going to be Eigner Bosh again.
Wait, what?
Makes the most sense.
What?
It's going to be Eridu Sumerea.
All right.
So, just like the previous ones, this is something that your character will be aware of, but only just will be now becoming aware of it. They are not sure if it's a vision, if it's a memory, or if it's just their imagination playing tricks. For a moment, Eridu stumbles walking around Eigner's camp, and as he looks down to see where he stumbled, he is cast back to a time earlier, something that he can sense is different. At the moment he blinks, all his senses are removed. He feels as though he's suspended and just watching a vignette of his life. He's seeing out of his own eyes. He is hearing shouts and screams down a stone corridor. He is rushing down it. Looking behind, he can see Alton carrying a spear. Turning around to face forward again, he sees a chamber opening up ahead of him. As he charges forward, the chamber is pitch black, but on the ground he sees quite clearly the start of an etching, a symbol. This is a symbol that he feels that he recognizes. And when he sees this symbol, time seems to pass. And he now smells this thick copper smell of blood. Looking around, he can see 2 dead bodies on the ground, one of which is Alton. He sees Eigner standing with his hands spread out, and he is talking to 2 beings that Eridu can't see. He's trying to parlay between them, the voices getting louder and louder. Eridu can hear them, but not see them. Eridu turns and sees this large shape moving against the back wall. Some more time passes. Looking around, he can no longer see or hear Eridu. He can't see the dead bodies, but he can see this large shape closer now. And a booming voice echoing around the chamber that he's in. The voice saying, "It has not been done for some time, and it can be very dangerous. Only one of you can do this." Eridu then turns to his side and sees walking towards him with a dagger in hand is On. Then Eridu seems to awaken from this strange vision. He is back in Eigner's camp. Looking around, no time seems to have passed.
Whoa, dude. It's not how I pictured On coming back into it. Whoa.
All murdery.
All murdery, yeah.
Oh. Well, if there's a campfire made, Eridu is going to go sit in front of the fire and ponder this. I think he's going to assume it's a vision.
Yeah, we can say that the campfire is like pretty much an automatic thing. As soon as Eigner gets back, he finds his flint, and he's got a very like tricked out, like big fire ring. Like, yeah, it's huge rocks, just like really sturdy, really big. So it just starts gathering some kindling. It's starting to get to the early evening. The chill is whipping up in the air. And Eigner just tirelessly starts stacking the wood by the fire and just starts working the flint. And gets a fire going.
fire roars to life. The battered and dismembered druids take comfort near it. For a couple of them, you can sense this air of discomfort. And Bredus makes it plain that a couple of the druids have never been outside of the sewers. They were born there and just lived there. That was their environment. And some others still, they'll have been outside of the sewers to scout around the streets sometimes. But leaving the sewers was a big deal for some of them. Bredus was a bit more adventurous than others. Dormund, Leomor, and Mehen, they are sat at the opposite end of the bonfire to the rest of the druids. None of them seem to want to get on or discuss things at all.
Okay, and at this point, with the fire going, Alton walks up to Eridu and very sternly says, "We need to talk."
Eridu is gonna look puzzled at Alton. Alright, what do we need to talk about?
I think it's best if we step aside.
Very well. And Eridu will get up and follow Alton's lead.
Okay. So I want to lead us basically well out of earshot
Fair enough.
of everybody else. So just somewhere not quite outside the light, but like not like unless we start shouting, nobody's gonna hear us. Okay.
Eridu's getting sort of a growing sense of discomfort the further from camp we go, but is making no attempt to show it.
Okay. So when we reach a stopping point, Alton turns around, and I say, "What gave you the right?"
The right for what?
Do you think that they deserved that? Either of them? They didn't deserve that. The attackers, the assaulters, don't deserve protection or safety. The assaulted do not deserve to stand in front of them and be reminded of that pain every day. What gave you the right to make that decision for them?
I did not make a decision. I gave these druids an opportunity to make their own decision. They could have chosen to stay behind, as Fallen did. They chose to return to their clan and seek whatever discipline, punishment their clan will give them. At this point, it is the druids to make the call. What happens next?
Right. You are expecting them to stand in front of those that did the most egregious things possible, to take their lives in that way, to take their souls in that way. How do you expect them to be able to be a part of that? These people deserve retribution on a level that is inescapable. And you have brought them to their safety, when at the very least they should have been taken to Garth or some other form of law enforcement, and at the best they should have been left with perhaps some form of equal treatment.
I discovered that those 4 druids made decisions that they made on false information. I gave them the opportunity to remake that decision knowing full well what was at stake. What good would the justice of Garth be? Garth doesn't hold any sway over the druids, or you and I myself. We also do not have the right to decide their fate. The only people who can decide what discipline these three deserve are the ones with whom they hurt.
I never said anything about discipline. I said retribution. Retribution is the only thing they deserve.
Then allow the druids to give them that retribution.
How do you expect them to face that and to have any kind of anything other than fear? Anything other than just being unable to cope, especially so quickly? If nothing else, you should have locked them away and we could have come back. But instead, they walked with them 3 hours. They sit across from them right now. What right do you have?
I am not sure that I can defend my actions, apart from to say it was not my right to judge them. It was not my right to bring upon them retribution. It is the right of the druids. And none of them have come to me with this concern. And even if they had, I would tell them, you make your judgments, do the things you must. It is what happens from here on out that is up to the druids. I have no rights.
It is up to us to provide for victims. Because, and especially the most sensitive of moments, right now, they are unable to take care of themselves.
I disagree.
This isn't someone who is denying what they did. They said under duress what they did. They fully admitted it. And no amount of being tricked into it gives one the right to do something. If they had killed those druids, you and I would be having a different conversation. What they did is the worst amongst the worst things you can do. They killed their soul and left them alive.
Do you think these druids cannot speak for themselves, govern themselves, and decide for themselves what is right and wrong?
Not for another 20 years.
Then you think them weaker than they are.
No, I think them to be subject to the worst thing possible. I think them being unable to be able to cope with what's just happened to them. I think anyone would be unable to process. I don't care if you're the mightiest warrior or the weakest of mouse. What they endured is unendurable.
This is true. And yet it is up to them to decide what happens next. Not up to me. Not up to you. I provided these druids a chance to return to the retribution of their own people, knowing in full detail that they would be facing something upon returning. That they would not be allowed to just walk among their people without some ramifications for their actions. They could have chosen, they could have made the choice to walk away on their own. Instead, they chose to come back to their people.
They will never understand. They think that they understand what they've done. They will never understand. They will never wake up in uh, in the middle of the night, unable to escape the nightmare of their lives.
Alton, have you ever tortured someone before?
No.
I have. And I will tell you that the screams of the victims haunt the aggressors as much as the pain haunts the victim.
This is in no way true. There is no part of anyone who has had themselves torn apart. It's in the same way that one thinks that the murderer is one who will always live with what they've done. That is not true. It is true that they will live with it, but they live with it for 20, 50, 100, 500 years. No matter how long they live, this will eat at them forever. They will never, ever, ever escape this. If you want to set them aside right now, caged and away from those who have suffered, with no hope of escape until something can be done. That is the first step in a long line of things that will happen to them. They will likely stay there for years until those victims will have an opportunity to process what happened to them, much less begin to be able to handle it.
If given the choice right now, what do you think many of these druids would do? If I were to say to them, do what you need to do to these men.
They would do nothing, and that would be the wrong choice. Because they cannot think. They would be unable to look at their attackers, and they would be unable to decide what must be done. Even if they choose in 20 years that what they want is to forgive them, they cannot process that now. They cannot process an assault this heavy.
You ask me what gives me the right to return these men to their people, and I ask you what gives you the right to speak for any of them. You have not been traumatized in this way. They have.
I have not been traumatized in this way. But I have spent time outside of you guys, outside of my friends, and I have listened, and I have helped in the smallest ways that I can. And I can promise you, of victims of torture or assault or anything, there is no escape.
Does that mean anyone who commits an egregious crime that takes from those around them part of their innocence, part of their ability to sustain life, is that person irredeemable?
Yes. You want the truth? Yes. There is a part of you, Eridu, that will always be irredeemable to me. I love you, but there is a part of you that will always be irredeemable.
Alton, I have done some of the worst things that I could ever imagine. And I have made the choice to walk away from that life. And I'm going to reach for my sword with a starting line of every time this blade has been drawn, and then I'm going to realize it's not in the scabbard.
Damn.
And then I'm just going to look down and... Oh. Alton, I love you as a brother. And I understand where you come from. You seek to defend those that you feel cannot defend themselves. And I am sorry that my actions have brought upon you a feeling of mistrust between the two of us. Do what you must do. I will not stand in these men's defense any longer. It is up to them to defend themselves, or it is up to them to seek to take the retribution at hand for their actions. I do not condone anything they've done. I hope that one day you will forgive me for this crime in your eyes. Know that I have lived a life of terror, and I have seen redemption for myself. And I seek to give only people the opportunity to make choices with the full knowledge of what those actions will lead to. And then Eridu is going to turn and walk back into the camp.
Okay. Alton goes off and begins constructing cages of appropriate sizes. Perhaps a little tighter for each of them than would be comfortable. But that is his first step.
Okay. So as Eridu is walking back to the fire, he'll catch Eigner in the middle of this long, monologue to the druids. And essentially it just goes something like, so I'm going to tell you the ground rules again. This, first of all, this is my camp. This is my home. This is where I live. So that means you have to abide by my rules. First of all is no fighting at all. I know there's a lot of bad blood between all of you, but be grown up, use your words, and everything will be fine. I am too tired right now to have to police any of you, so please just behave yourselves. Y'all are welcome to stay. Not in this immediate area, but if you go down the valley over in that direction, go a little ways and you'll see a nice little stream, this beautiful clear brook. On either side of those, there's a stand of trees. That's where you can make do, make a little home for yourselves. Y'all, you can choose one side of the river. You can split up and say, you guys go on that side of the river, you go on that side of the river, but respect the stream. Respect it. That is your meeting place. That is sacred. And don't cause too much noise. I'm a light sleeper. He's also handing out some dried jerky and handfuls of berries that he's collected.
The three kind of off to the side, they hang their heads solemnly and nod along with everything you're saying and accept the jerky. The other druids seem a bit more... belligerent's the wrong word, but more like they're taking what you're saying with more of a grain of salt. Some of them seem quite angry at having to be here. But Breedis, you can tell from her body language that she's going to abide by your rules and keep everyone in line.
Mm-hmm. I'll give a hard look to the three that are not listening to me so well, and I'll say, look, you don't have to be happy about being here, but I'll tell you this: this place is far away from Tix, and if you didn't like him, then you gotta be somewhat relieved to be here.
They nod and throw their hands up. Go hang out with their own crews.
I would like to approach Breedis
Oh, okay.
and kneel down by her and just quietly ask her, Breedis, how are you doing?
She avoids your gaze. She doesn't meet your eyes at all. Well, considering.
You have gone through quite the ordeal, and well, just kind of giving a sad look at her missing legs. I came back with these three men so that you and your friends could, you and the rest of the druids could decide what is to be done with them. They have violated your group and your laws, and I believe it is up to you to make the decision as to what is to be done.
She stares at the three of them through the campfire. I think that decision should be left until time has passed. The ways of our people, I think, need revision. It led them to follow Tix. I am angry. And I should not act while angry.
I understand. Know that I have given you this opportunity to decide, and I will take on only the responsibility that you give unto me. But if none of that is given, I want no part of the decision-making process. I want no part of the justice that is to be done to these men. I have tried to help all of you. I've acted slowly. And I can feel somewhat responsible for the decisions that were made, but I can't save everyone. And sometimes I must learn to stop trying.
She leans over towards you and reaches out her hand as if to grab your far shoulder. And as she does so, she slips and falls over. She then pushes you away, gets herself back up. It's a struggle. And then she clenches her fist and hits the ground as hard as she can. It's going to get some getting used to without legs. I can't even stand. It's the simple right of every animal to stand, and I can't even stand. I think you're among the few that I can trust, Eridu. I won't be fit for a while to make any decisions concerning them. I cede that all to you. I would like you to act in my stead. She then gestures over to another one of the druids, who wanders over and helps pick her up and wander her over towards where some of the druids started like laying out an area for them to sleep on.
Eridu is just going to just sigh and. Very well. I will see to it that your justice is had. And then he is going to go and try to find Alton. After a while, I'm sure he'd find Alton building cages, and without a word, Eridu will help him.
Okay. The
Would you like me
construction
to survival? Because I am willing to take exhaustion, especially because I mean, all I need to do is recover spells. That's nothing I need to bother with. But I'm more than willing to. Would you like me to roll survival to see how long it takes to construct?
Well, I was going to say that it would probably take most of the evening, and I was going to ask for a survival check
Okay.
as a sort of retroactive thing closer to the time when they're used to see how well constructed they are.
Okay, that's fine.
Should he make them with advantage because I'm assisting, or is he or is Alton actively sort of like pretending Eridu's not helping?
Oh,
What is the response to Eridu silently coming and attempting to help?
I mean, I gotta say, he's gonna block every attempt for Eridu to help him.
Oh,
Not
man.
say anything, but just kind of shift his body in the way every time that Eridu can stand there, or he can try to help in whatever minimal way that he can. But Alton is gonna have no such help.
Cold-blooded.
I so very badly want to take that assist, but
Oh yeah, but the passive aggression is strong with this one.
in the moment, because it's either that or he pulls out his sunlight blade.
Some real aggression.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell you what, since we're discussing it, I'll make a note of the results. So yeah, make a survival check now then.
Not great. 14.
Okay. You should also balance that out with whether or not an escape attempt will even be made. How willing to receive punishment they might be.
Yeah. I imagine with a 14, it's not going to fall apart on its own, but it would depend on how much they want to try to escape.
Yeah. We are going to sort of set the
Ooh,
microphone. I've just popped that up there.
that's better. Yeah, that's what I'm
thank
talking
you.
about.
So yes, if we could sort of allow the sun to set on that evening,
Mm-hmm.
everyone sort of going around, doing their evening activities,
Oh,
and the sun.
I was gonna say Eigner started his long rest already. Like he just kind of did that whole talk and ate some food and said, "Okay, don't kill each other. Good night."
Just checked out.
On the realization that Alton has no intention of accepting help, Eridu will leave and wander the woods for a while.
How long is it going to take him to construct? Is it?
We'll say that since you're making cages out of branches and vines and things, it can be counted as light activity. So you can do that while you're doing your long rest. So it'll just eat into your sleep time. I would reckon it would take a good 4 or 5 hours to construct 3 sturdy cages.
Okay.
At least.
Take a point of exhaustion. I can reset long rest, so that way I get the benefits of long rest, except for I take exhaustion. So it's kind of a balancing.
Yes, if you're not sleeping, yeah, because Eridu being an elf, he only needs to meditate for 4 hours, so 5
Right.
hours building something, he'll be easily able to make that up. But yeah, if you're losing sleep, then take a point of exhaustion.
Okay, so don't reset everything and take a point of exhaustion, or reset things and take a point of exhaustion.
Reset things, but take a point of exhaustion. So you're still getting the mechanical benefits of a long rest, but you've not slept.
Right. That's perfectly fine by me. That's why I wanted to make sure. Okay, so in that case, whenever Alton finishes, because they're going to all be asleep, he is going to go over to the druids that he loathes, and he's going to turn on his sunlight blade and wake them up, and he's going to escort them to their cages.
Okay.
God damn.
Give me a charisma ability check.
Intimidation?
Yeah. Intimidation would probably be the best.
11.
They look at each other, begrudgingly get up, and on Dorman's nod, they all follow you wherever you lead them.
Okay. And I lock them up, and it's not anywhere near the campsite. Like, they're kind of off in not quite the middle of nowhere. They, like, especially because Eridu knows where they are findable, but they are not. They don't get the protection of fire or essentially.
Yeah. So I'd imagine if we're dealing with fairly hilly grassland terrain, we'll be encountering something about a mile away from the camp. Something that's walkable. It's about a 20-minute walk, but you're also able to.
Half a mile somewhere in the neighborhood of.
Cool.
I am not so cruel that I'm going to leave them completely unprotected, but I am unfavorable to anything that happens, or that I'm unfavorable to their protection.
Yeah. Okay. Could I ask Eigner, please, por favor?
Mm-hmm.
Could you make me a charisma saving throw?
Oh. Okay. That was unexpected. I would be happy to. I have a +1. Ooh, I have a 19, so that is a total of 20.
Nice. You have a dream.
Oh, cool.
In this dream, you see a small spider coming down on its web to in front of your face. In this dream, you are lying in bed. You're just looking up, and this spider comes very close to you. It spins around, and you can see its face. And it sort of flips up, and its mandibles start moving. You can hear a voice that seems to be coming from the spider. It's this harsh, raspy voice that you can tell has the twinges of undercommon to it. That sort of accent. And it tells you to not concern yourself with hiding who you really are. You then see Zarkon storm into your chambers, grab the spider and crush it into his hand, but then dozens more spiders erupt from between his fingers, and you wake up.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow. Okay, so Eigner wakes up with a case of the heebie-jeebies. For sure. Don't hide who
Okay.
I really am. What? Oh, can
the
I...
morning dawns.
Oh, I'm
go
sorry. Do your whole introduction, but I just had something for Eigner in a bit.
Okay. The morning dawns. The druids awaken to see that the campfire now just hot coals for the most part. And the few that are able to move around, they go about gathering some extra food to cook up for everyone for breakfast.
Okay, so Eigner, in the privacy of his little zone of his room, he finally takes out the pouch that was on Dorman's hip, and he takes a look in it. And as he is doing that, he's also kind of like summoning Zarkon a little bit. Not really summoning in this like fancy way, but he just says like, He says, "Time to see what you're all freaked out about, Zarkon."
Right. You open the pouch, look inside, and you see a coin. A single coin. A single silver coin.
Hmm.
The single silver coin seems to have this strange iridescent quality to it, as if silver is not the metal that it's made out of.
Interesting.
You can tell that it's a dragon coin. This is from the Dragonborn kingdoms.
Memory check. That's what Garth gave us that one time, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like the platinum dragon coin that Garth had.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay, so Egner's gonna take out the gem of true seeing and look at the coin through the gem of true seeing.
When you look at the coin, you're taken aback immediately because you see Zarkon's eye pressed right up against the gem. But he pulls back and lets you see the coin.
Oh, don't do that to me ever again.
But you see the coin. It does have this strange sort of wispy smoke coming off of it that's dissipating after a few feet, but nothing else about the coin. It doesn't seem to be magical. It just seems to have this weird aura going on.
But when I'm looking at it, it still looks the same. It still looks like a platinum coin with the dragon symbol on it.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll look up at Zarkon and just say, what is this? I've seen this before. And I can't tell if it's perhaps the same one, or if this implies that there are multiple pieces of currency from the Dragon Empire floating around Yrden.
He leans against a post, but he seems to only be there when you've got the Gem of True Seeing. If you were to take it down, you'd see that no one is there.
Mm-hmm.
But when he talks, you hear the voice in your head. These kinds of coins, usually bribes, get people to do the work of the Dragon Kingdoms. I should know, I've accepted a few in my time.
But what's the point? You can't spend it here.
Not yet.
Not yet? What in the hells is that supposed to mean?
I have been out of the way for quite some time. I'm just guessing.
Look, I do appreciate that. But, right now I want some answers. And if you're willing to give any, that would be helpful.
He wanders over and puts his hand on your shoulder. You realize that you don't feel the hand on your shoulder. Eigner, we'd all like some answers. But I'll throw you a bone. He then scrunches his face up as if he's just noticed you've got like a massive spot in the middle of your forehead. These coins are a trail to follow. You saw one before, presumably under suspicious circumstances. I thought it was just very interesting that this Rufallen character had one on him.
Rufallen. He's not.
Yeah, the druid that was
Yeah.
unconscious that you.
Yeah, but he's. Oh, I thought it was Dormund. I got mixed up. It was Rufallen.
It's okay.
And Rufallen's not the one who's here. He stayed behind.
That's right.
So all of a sudden, some things are going to click together in Eigner's head, and he just gets like this wave of just chills going down his spine. Oh. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. What was that dream about? You were in my dream. You were covered in spiders. You were covered in spiders.
Best not to dwell on such things, Eigner. I'm sure it was just a dream.
Oh no,
At that
I
point-
saw what I saw. Wait, no, continue.
He disappears, but you can still hear his voice in your head, and he mentions that perhaps the coin was payment. Might be worth finding out what for.
Hmm.
And then he's unresponsive.
Thanks for the answers. And then Eigner will start to like just cackle maniacally, so much that people outside, the druids outside, can kind of hear him and maybe are a little concerned.
One of the druids pops his head through the door and then jumps back slightly as he avoids a spider in the corner of the doorway. Are you okay?
Fine. Never better. Never better. Don't mind them. They live here. And at that, Eigner will just push out of the way and head toward the fire and start cooking up something.
All right. Over the next hour or so, while breakfast is being made and people are waking up and stuff, Bredus looks around, noting the absence of the others, the three that were escorted away, but doesn't bring it up.
Middle of the night.
Instead, asking for Eridu to approach.
Yeah, at a point, Eridu is kind of coming in and talking with each of the druids as they wake and just having hushed, quieted individual conversations with them. So when Bredus asks for him, he very obediently goes to her side, kneels down to get to her level, and puts a hand on her arm. Bredus, how may I assist you today?
I recall speaking with your friend, the one whose camp we're in.
Yes.
And not much else from last night, I'm afraid. I do remember being very angry. I didn't ask you to do anything unsavory, did I?
You relinquished the choice to decide what is to be done with, and I will say all three of their names, although I can't recall them all right now.
That's fine.
You asked me to be the one to judge them in your stead because you did not feel that you were in a state where you could do that.
She pats your hand. Probably for the best. I don't feel well. What I do recall further, however, is from days ago. Are you busy? Your shorter friend seemed to be anxious to get about some business.
Yes, we do have other things happening that we have been asked to look into, and we will be looking into them in time. For now, I'm more concerned with you. What do you remember of the time that you spent being tormented by these men? Tell me as much as you can about this experience, if you can.
She finds it difficult, but she opens up about her experiences, starting light, skirting around the issues, but if you're willing to sit for half an hour or longer,
Yeah.
she begins to open up quite a bit. She tells you how painful the torture was, not just physically, but how mentally, just knowing that it was her friends, people that she loved and cared for, doing this, all for an empty promise of some stranger. When Tix first arrived, she was in awe of his power, but she was excited about working her own way out of their situation, working with you to find a place for the druids to call home and continue working to get back to the Fey Realm. She thought that a shortcut through some greater power was not what was best for her and her people, that it would feel undeserved and unearned. And for that, for wanting the best for her people, she feels punished for it. She needs a lot of time to heal, and she recognizes that. But the druids that are around her now, they all seem perfectly willing to stay by her side and help her out. A few of the others that have lost their arms are trying to make do, but you can tell that they're very, very angry about it.
And I don't think I've talked to anybody else who's missed limbs, but anybody else that I've talked to, I've been talking to them about this exact same thing, getting their experiences, examining the wounds that they have endured, hearing about their pains.
You'll get similar stories from them. A couple of them do make mention of Rufallen and Mehen leaving frequently, and going and trying to complete jobs which they assumed were for Tix. But they seem quite evasive, as if they know more but don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. From what I'm gathering, did it seem like many of these people also followed Tix for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna back to the conversation with Britas. I'm gonna kind of just pretty much whisper in her ear so that nobody else can hear. Are these four the only four responsible for the pain that has been inflicted upon so many of your people? Or have you done this to yourselves as well?
You learn that it was at the point where the voting was cast, when people were sort of like making these harsh divides, and Bredis was sort of overthrown just 2 days ago. That's when those that were siding with Tix, when the decision to start torturing and hurting others, that's when they all like stuck hard to their lines, and some of them went back to operating under Bredis. So no, there were no others that tortured.
Very well.
Okay, so after after Eridu leaves, Alton goes to Bredis with his speaking stone, and he kind of hands it out, or like holds his hand out and says, "Would you like to talk with me to some people that might be able to help?"
I'm wary of the offer. Who is it that we'll be speaking with?
My people are less restrictive of magic, and we have with us mighty healers who will be able to help with your physical wounds. Your psyche and your soul will forever be damaged. But perhaps the scarring will heal, and Rune willing, maybe you'll be able to walk. I can't promise that. But if you would like, I'm going to talk to the healer from my hometown, and I am going to ask her to come and help you. And I am going to ask for some of our guardsmen to come and watch over this encampment while we are away, or whenever we are away.
This stone would transport us.
No, the stone will allow us to talk to each other, to talk to them.
I'm perfectly willing to have that conversation. I must confess that I am wary to enter any deals with people. The recent experiences have left me with a sour taste in my mouth.
If you would like, I can talk first and to her, and you can then privately talk to her. If you would like, you don't even have to talk out loud. That way you can feel private in your conversations.
Thank you. She'll tentatively reach out and touch the stone. In order to not allow this to devolve into a me talking to me situation.
Right, it'll be we'll hand wave it.
Yeah.
You talk to the doctor or I talk to the doctor, and she talks to the doctor that I introduced in my game, and then after that conversation is done, I will talk to one of my family members and have them also send out a couple of friends who would be guardsmen to come. I will be paying for their paying them as skilled NPCs or whatever to be there.
Okay.
For them. So that's like what, a gold or two apiece.
So that'll be a while's journey, but
Right. This is not an immediate, but I wanted to provide for them.
Yeah. Bridis is very, very grateful for you doing that, and she says that she'll try and repay the favor at some point.
No. We should have been there sooner. I wish we could have been. We could have saved you. It's my fault.
You were busy.
No. We should have been there. This is the least I can do.
Well, I thank you.
And I kind of like start to cry like a little bit, just like not like a full on like, but just like kind of like tears stream a little bit.
Yeah, man, she's got no legs. It's all your fault.
As far as Alton's concerned, yeah, that's absolutely 100% the case.
Okay. So the day moves on in hours. So we've got these druids. The other ones in cages haven't made a move to escape or anything.
They didn't use
I'll feed
wild
them.
shape?
Pardon?
They didn't use wild shape and just become rats and run away, dude?
No, they have remained in their cages. They seem perfectly willing to accept and mete out this punishment. Anytime that you approach them, you realize that Dormand is trying to discuss with them about their situation and how they can make the best of it. Leo more calming Mechan down and making sure that none of them have any designs on escaping.
I will go back and feed them as appropriate. They're not going to be without. And I will work on devising a system that is much more humane and permanent.
Okay. So what's the plan for the rest of the day. Nothing approaches, nothing sort of gets into all up in your business.
Okay, well, we need to have. Well, I'm gonna definitely give a little tour to Breedis and the other druids, and I'm gonna take them down in that direction that I told them. It kind of goes down this valley a little bit. There's a beautiful, clear, sparkling stream with two stands of trees on either side. And I'm gonna show them and say, this may be your home for as long as you will it. May it treat you well. If you treat the earth well, it will treat you well. And I'm gonna kind of leave them to their own devices there because I have to gather my two guys together. And essentially, we're gonna go for privacy. We're gonna go into my room, and I'm going to just lay some stuff on them.
Okay.
And
while that's happening, Eridu has probably been spending the day getting as much testimonials from all the other druids as humanly possible.
mm-hmm. So once you guys are in the room, Eigner will pull out the platinum coin and say, I don't think this is going to be very significant to either of you, but you've got to trust me in that this means something big. Something big. I found this in a pouch that was on Rufalin's hip. And this platinum coin represents a payment for something. There's a mystery here that is really creeping me out. I need to find out who did the paying and for what the payment was. And the last time I saw one of these, Garth had paid me and my friends.
You mean on Inakram?
Yeah. You're muted, Asa.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Yes, I was not part of this.
Oh.
I do not know about.
Well,
Yeah, neither one of us do.
well, that's why I said that you guys may not know the
No, I
secrets.
was letting Eigner know that, or Alton know that.
Mm.
So how do we discover this mystery?
Well, if it's safe to go back to the sewers, I really want to find Rufalin and talk to him. And I'm not exactly sure how else to proceed. And I don't know how else you two would rather proceed. I know there are some other things that may require our attention, but this is a mystery that I think I need to solve at some point.
I'm very happy to find Rafalin.
Oh, I'm sure you would be. But you
Yes.
gotta let me talk to him first. You gotta keep your daggers in the sheaths for a moment and let me try and talk to him before you get too stab happy.
Fine. I need your mentor.
I'm sorry?
Your mentor, can he come by and watch the grounds and watch over all of the druids?
You obviously don't know Merrick very well.
No, I've never met
Yeah,
him. I've only heard you talk about it.
Yeah. He cannot be bothered to do something like that. Oh gosh, hold on. You guys keep messing it up. You keep switching around your positions. Then I have to switch the stream overlays, and then I end up switching.
Don't.
You guys are making my life
We're not
harder. You guys are making my life so hard.
How did my camera get shut off?
I don't know, Asa. Just
What
fix
the
it.
hell?
Just fix it. Okay.
That was not
Okay.
intentional. My dog was
Everything's
tromping around
fixed.
on crap. I bet she's touched.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll get back to saying, I'm sorry, but the druids may just have to fend for themselves a little bit here. Merrick will not be bothered to do anything like that.
Okay. I would like to then go to the stone. Is it Stone's Throw or the Cornerstone? I forget which one.
Cornerstone. The tavern.
Yeah, the Cornerstone Tavern.
Mhm.
If you don't mind, when we get back in town.
I will speak with Brutus, and if she feels that they are well enough to look after themselves, I will go with you, and if not, I will stay behind. You do not need me to dispense whatever justice you need to a felon.
Very well.
Okay.
So sorry, what was that? I say you're going to talk to
Yep.
Breedis about.
Yeah, check with Brutus and make sure that she's okay with the druids.
Well, I also want them to be fed. The other ones to be fed. Like, it's not just
yeah,
like just because I want them to be exacted does not mean I don't believe in the same justice. So,
and I'm gonna check with the other druids, make sure they're all feeling like they're capable of being on their own. I'm gonna check with Breedis and make sure that there's no concerns of like somebody just going rogue and murdering these people in the cage, stuff like that.
When she realizes that they've been taken away and put into cages, you can see like a relief in her. I will make sure that they're all well looked after. I will also make sure that they're well protected. I would feel awful if something happened to them, being so far away from camp.
Does that seem genuine, or is it a platitude?
Give me an insight check. Give me an insight check. Let's roll a die in this game.
Yeah,
Alright.
let's do it.
Insight, something I know how to do. That is a 23.
She. Yeah. Like,
She really doesn't care if anything happens to him, but she's gonna make sure they're not murdered by her people.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
She's gonna make sure that sort of things are kept in line. She genuinely doesn't actually feel bad right now at the thought of them getting hurt.
Right.
But she knows that as a leader, she needs to show that she is. You can tell that she is still, everything's still too raw for her.
Mhm.
But from seeing you and the way that things have been handled, and the fact that you didn't just take them away in the night and slit their throats, she is trying to show the same restraint.
Okay.
And at this, she puts her hand to the ground, closes her eyes for a moment. She takes in a deep breath, and then when she exhales, the grass seems to ripple away from her, and you hear this scuttling sound as many small creatures come towards her, and she lifts her hand, and there are ants crawling all over her hand. She then lowers her hand down to the ground again to let the ants all come off, but they come into a formation, and as they step off her hand, they start growing larger and larger until they're about the size of a huge dog.
That's sick.
When there's about 10 of them. They all start following one of the druids that Breedis then instructs to go and feed the prisoners.
Wow.
Okay, good workaround.
That's fucking badass, dude.
Yeah. 4th level spell, giant insect. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Goddamn, Breedis.
Yeah. Works on spiders too, and bees. But yeah. So you guys are breaking off back to Twin Harbors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going with.
We are. So hold
Nice.
on. Just to be clear, are we going to be going till 2 and then taking a break? Is that what's going on? Kind of same as last week?
Yeah.
Okay,
I believe
cool.
so.
All right, cool. So we're going back to the cornerstone.
Yeah.
Well, there's no need to go back to the cornerstone because
I
they already took care of.
Oh, okay. Well, in that
I
case,
was going to the cornerstone to hire somebody.
yeah.
Ah.
Okay. So in that case, we're not going to the cornerstone, and as we get closer to the city, Eigner will actually say to the others, "I think it best that we try to attract as little attention as possible. Let's get into the city. Let's find the culvert, get our way in there, do what we need to do, and try and get back out."
Agreed.
As you approach,
Sounds good.
you see that there is a very loose caravan of horses heading towards the city. You reckon there's maybe about 8 to 10 horses, but they're very far spread out. Some of them are just on the horizon, but they all seem to be heading to Twin Harbors.
Let me do an insight check. Are we close enough to just get like a good visual on it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do an insight check to try and determine the kind of group. Like, is it a trade caravan? Is it a traveling circus? Is it like would I be able to tell? So I rolled a 16. That's gonna be a 21 total to try and tell exactly what kind of group this is.
You can tell that it's not a group. That these people are traveling, for one, too far apart for them to be of any defensive value to each other.
Oh, okay.
They're also dressed very differently. These seem to be also from all sorts of different backgrounds. You notice that one of them is a dwarf, but most of them seem to be humans, elves, that sort of makeup and size. They seem to be in a similar sort of profession to yourselves, mercenaries and adventurers for hire. They seem to be attracted to Twin Harbors all of a sudden for some reason.
I think we should fall in line with these folks. Try and get a little information about the city while we're on our way in, and we'll attract less attention when we're in this group of them.
Sure.
As you approach close to the gates, you sort of manage to fall in line next to one of them, who greets you on the road. This is an Azamar. As you get closer, he is bedecked in chain armor, resplendent medallion hanging around his neck, and he's got a short cape. Something that seems to be a bit of an odd garb, but he wears it with pride.
It's a fashion faux pas, that's what that is. Nevertheless, as we get closer, I'll say, "Hail there, friend."
Greetings. What fares on your travels? Well, I hope.
Oh, all is well. All is well. Merely grouping up again, trying to find the next job.
Very mighty indeed. I hear tell that there's a great many opportunities in Twin Harbors up ahead. Is that where you seek?
Oh, yes, we have worked in Twin Harbor before. It has been a while. I must confess that we don't know much about the current events in the city. Might you be able to tell us what's been going on?
I do hear tell of a great many maladies that have befallen the people of Twin Harbors. Lots of fighting over the previous months. It seems that old agitations are starting to get a little red raw again. Nothing the people can't weather. The people of Twin Harbors are a hardy folk. People that have stood astride a conflicted region for some centuries now.
Indeed.
I don't concern myself with their well-being so much. I think they can weather whatever storm is coming. But they do say that the winds of war are blowing. Who knows what will happen?
Is that what they say?
It's something I heard somewhere.
That's funny.
Roll credits.
Yeah, roll credits yet again. Well, I hope we can find all work that is good for all of us.
Yes, I myself have already secured an employer. I'm going to meet her now, but yes, I do hear that there's a few notice boards around town for just general working mercenaries like yourselves. I'm sure you'll be able to find some well-paying work in no time.
Fine. Thank you for the recommendation.
It's quite all right. By the time you've got to that point in the conversation, you've already reached the gates. They've already been opened, and as he wanders in, this Azamar flicks a silver coin into the hands of one of the guards, who looks at it quizzically, but then just closes the gate behind you all. Treasure. He waves at you all as he rides his horse up one of the streets, away from you lot.
Bye.
Farewell, my friends.
Glad to be rid of him.
He
And-
seemed quite friendly.
And then,
Very eager to divulge information.
yeah, it's a strange habit. And then I will duck into an alley and start leading my companions to the sewer.
What do you think that was he was saying about winds of war? I don't think I've ever heard that saying before.
It's a strange way to say it.
I mean, war can't have winds. It's. Wait, I'm not on.
I know it's a little overly poetic and metaphorical. Anyways, so
Never mind.
we find in short order the sewer opening because Eigner has got the map of this city in his brain. Hardcore.
Yep.
You guys get down there, and you find that the entrances are no longer guarded. Getting down to the main sort of room that you guys are in, you see the wall still smashed in. There is water trickling from behind the wall still, but it seems to have just sort of gathered into a pool in the corner, with just streams in between the bricks leading out towards the main pipes. So it's not flooded the chamber to any great degree. You certainly left your mark, Eridu.
Yes, he did.
All right.
You see Rufallen stood in the doorway of one of the adjoining chambers, and he's having a hushed conversation with someone.
Huh. Okay, so he hasn't really noticed us at all.
No.
Okay, can I do a perception check? Okay, rolled a 3. I was just trying to like really get a sense of who the other person was, but I have no idea. So I'm just gonna kind of storm up to Rufallen and just address him in a very rough manner. Rufallen.
He panics, turns around, and immediately draws his 2-sai. Back again.
There's no
Give it up, Raphael, and you cannot win.
no point in fighting. We're here to talk. Are we alone here?
He looks into the room. Yes.
That's a lie.
Insight.
Who are you talking to?
Insight.
And yeah, you don't
Make your
need to.
insight check.
You don't need to roll an insight to tell he was lying, dude.
Hold on one second. let me-
Sometimes you just gotta roll some dice.
Well, it's the name of the
25.
game.
No, the way that he said that, I was like, yeah, insight.
Okay, what was the insight result, sorry?
25.
25.
Yeah, I learned his mother's maiden name.
Yeah. He's lying. Yeah, but he seems afraid of whatever's in there.
Okay, there's something in there, but he's afraid of it, so he's trying to cover, so he doesn't get exposed and potentially attacked. Essentially, that's all I'm asking. Is that the sense that I get that?
No. More that he's unsure of what he should say,
Okay,
so he's trying to be careful.
okay.
Okay, well, I still said that's a lie. Who are you talking to?
An interested party. What is your purpose for being down here? Why are you coming to disturb me in my home?
I'll take out the coin and just say, okay, it's showing it right there. This. I know what it is.
His hand reflexively goes to his hip, and he realizes that the pouch is gone.
Yeah. I know what it is, Rufalin. I know that it is payment. I want to know who paid you, and I want to know what they paid you for.
I assume then that Fredus's followers have been less than forthcoming,
I'm sorry?
or have you disposed of them, washed your hands of the matter?
I don't need to tell you anything about them. This is about you, this coin, and us.
He moves away from the doorway towards the middle of the room and falls back down onto a chair that's been made up. I was given that coin by a fellow who came down to parley. I forget his name. Never forget his shape, though. Disgusting what people will allow their bodies to get into up there.
His name was Garth. What did he pay you for?
It was a contract job, something that would allow me and some of our people to leave the sewers temporarily, perform some duties for an interested party, and we would then go our separate ways. A simple mercenary contract, something that I'm sure you'd be familiar with. You get paid your money, you do a job, and that's it done. I have no ties to this Garth.
Is that how Tix got involved?
Tix came to save us from this.
So the job went wrong, huh? Your agreement went sour with Garth and you went crying to some Fey Lord?
We accepted Tix's offer because Tix was going to offer us everything that we've been working for, everything that we've suffered for down here for a very, very long time. Regardless of the job with this Garth, we did what they asked. The job was done. As far as we were concerned, that was the end of it. Tix was just a way out of this.
What was the job?
Why should I tell you anything? There is no reason for me to even be talking to you. Why am I talking to you? And he stands up.
These are questions you should have asked yourself before you started talking. Eridu is going to be like, you just slowly making his way deeper into the room. Kind of side skirting Rafalin a little bit as he does. Doing it, step by, here and there a little bit, not trying to be overly obvious that he's, headed in a certain direction at all.
Oh.
There's nothing that can be done. It was a job. It was performed. I received payment. That payment was supposed to help us get out of here.
But it didn't.
Tix offered us a better option. The coin was a keepsake, which I'll happily take off your hands if you're done with it.
Not quite. This is evidence.
Well, until I can get whatever Tix did working again, it seems that we're stuck here. And unless you're wanting to kill me, or lock me up, or toss me aside, or whatever it is that you did with the rest of my comrades, then I don't see what else there is in the way of business between us.
I'm not interested in killing you. I'm not interested in locking you up. You're the one who decided to stay down here, and that's what I'm going to do, is just leave you down here. But I'm going to get all the answers that I need before I leave. And then at that, he's going to take out a torch, spark it, and light it, and then pretty much go into the room where he was like talking to the whatever person, and I'm just going to shine a bunch of light in there.
You shine the light in, and you see that the room is empty. There is a series of tubs in there. There's some liquid at the bottom of one of them, but you don't see anyone in there.
You pass along a message to your interested party. There's nothing to be gained by making deals with ticks.
I'm sure the interested party will be interested to hear that. I'll let them know whenever I find them.
Very well.
You tell me if anything would stop this from happening, but do I get
Yes.
to my sword?
Yes. Nothing stops you from getting to it.
And Fallon's back is to me as he's talking with Eigner?
Yep.
Then I will, as quietly as I can, go up behind him.
Stealth check.
Yep, I already rolled it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you the results. 20. It's a 20.
20. Okay. Rafalin seems to be fixated on Eigner at the moment.
I stab him.
As soon as I see him stab him, I pop my sunlight blade and go in as well on the other flanking.
Everyone roll for initiative.
Well, technically we get
Surprise round.
Surprise round.
round
Yes, we
Yes.
still roll initiative.
at advantage by the way, because we're flanking.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so your attacks will be at advantage. That's true.
Oh man. So Eigner is seriously like so not into the whole idea of combat right now. I rolled a 1 on the initiative. Total is 0.
Wow.
The one time Agner's like, nah, I'm not gonna do combat.
Nah, like, you know, I'll just let you guys take all of your turns, and then maybe I'll do something. I don't know.
23 on initiative, just so you know.
Then I get a 12, so I'm in the middle there.
Okay. So yeah.
Surprise round first.
Yes.
22 on hit.
That will definitely hit.
Okay.
I rolled very poorly, but I feel like I should not miss at all.
11 for my first attack.
Yeah.
Hold on, I still have another attack. 15 for the second attack.
15 would hit. Yep.
Okay. And 10 for the second hit.
That would. 10 damage for the second hit. What was the damage from the first one? Sorry.
11. 21
all right.
total.
And I got a 13 for my hit.
Nah, that's a miss.
So very, very. That's why I feel like I shouldn't have.
That was with advantage?
Yeah, I rolled a 7 and a
okay.
4. All right. Having been distracted by Alton moving, because I didn't expect anyone else to move on me, swinging forward, I miss, and then I'm just going to, I guess, use my Yeah, I use my key point and make just 2 like offhanded fist attacks. And I'm gonna word this in a certain way, but I want it to be still like the melee fist attack.
Okay.
Oh my god, both those fuckings. Guys are gone.
So as Alton ignites his Sunblade, immediately he does a
Oh,
double
hold on.
slash.
I'm sorry. I forgot that I had advantage on both of those attacks, and I rolled one of them with advantage. I just rolled two dice.
Mhm.
So that advantage shot of one of my attacks missed. The second one is a natural 17. So I'm gonna get one punch in, just one.
All right, get the damage.
It's gonna be 8 damage, and I'm gonna word it like this: I come behind him, and I'm able to wrap my arm around him and like put a lot of pressure on his throat. But I don't want to really count it as a grapple, so he can kind of break free really easily.
Nice one. So yeah, as Alton slashes at him, he falls forward with the cuts to his torso, quickly pulls his sai out, and as Eridu comes in, he manages to block the sword, but then Eridu manages to push with the sword, turning him around, get up behind him, and choke him. His eyes start rolling around into the back of his head, but before he can actually do anything, Eigner, you are not surprised, even though you're slowest, so you can still do something before he does.
No, because that was surprise round, so we start back up at the top.
There's not actual surprise round in.
Oh, okay.
It's like a condition type thing that's imposed on the person. So when someone is surprised, they just can't move or act.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't hear you there for a second, Kyle. I don't know why.
Oh, is it because I had that on mute? Yeah, that's exactly why. So Eigner, almost. So he's got like the 2 guys on him, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if Eigner is like gonna do anything. He might just be so shocked that because Eigner was like actually not expecting any violence to break out whatsoever. You know, he was like kind of not expecting it when he told Brufalin, "I'm just gonna leave you down here because that's what you chose to do." He kind of meant that. So I think actually I might like not do anything. At least for this turn. If it stretches on to a longer thing, like Eigner might spring into action, but I'm just gonna choose to be so shocked.
I suppose it would make sense that you are in fact also surprised.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm definitely surprised. I'll take
Alright.
that condition on gladly. Yeah.
Cool. And it immediately ends because we're at the end of the first round. So yeah, Alton, it is your action
Okay.
again.
Bonus Hunter's Mark.
Okay.
With advantage still. Yeah, no, that hits. It's 23.
That hits.
Yeah.
Roll dem bones.
14 for the first hit.
14 damage. That first hit kills him.
So then for the second hit, 20. So then that becomes a crit, right? Automatic crit.
You already killed him, dude.
Yeah, no, I dropped him. I'm gonna kill him.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
And as Eigner is doing this, Eridu is going to, with his sword, come down.
You mean Alton?
Alton. Eridu is going to come down with his sword and first swing and hack off one of Rafalin's arms, and then start to like do very, very particular cuts here and there, mimicking cuts he's seen on the other druids, before he begins to use his sword to tear through the sinew of his legs, removing both of them at the kneecap.
I'm totally down with that. He can even do that before my turn, technically, so that if you want. But either way, he's dead, and he's slashed up, and he's dead inside.
And yeah, even past him being dead, Eridu is just enacting this extremely gruesome act.
While the gruesome act is being performed, mostly because I didn't anticipate this going that way that quickly, Rufallen, through his torture, before death comes to claim him completely, screams out various things, such as he's sorry, that he will tell you whatever you want, and he eventually, when you're done and he's about to finish bleeding out, he tells you that the South Coast, the job was the South Coast.
Yep.
Then he dies.
Right.
Oh shit.
After a few minutes, Eridu is going to stand up, flecked in the blood of Rufallen, and look at the corpse and take a step back and drop his sword. And kind of look at the both of you. Perhaps you are right, Alton. Perhaps some people cannot be redeemed.
God's been damned.
He's gonna walk out of the sewers, leaving his sword on the ground.
Before you leave, Alton's expression softens 5%. Not completely, just barely noticeable. And after you leave, he's gonna grab your sword. Not noticeably or give it back to you, but just take it with him. And probably, if you want me to roll, I can, but he's going to stealthily, he's going to hide it from Eridu.
Oh yeah, no, I don't need to hide it. Don't need to roll for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So, where to now? You guys have interrogated and killed Rufallen.
Well, I'm gonna say that he's the first one walking out of the sewer, but it's kind of obvious that he's going back to the surface. So, Eigner is going to try and deal with just the crazy shit that he just saw, and he's going to walk up to the surface right next to Eridu and just say, I don't think that was entirely necessary, but I understand that you all had to do what you had to do. We can talk about this more, but that's kind of pointless. The point that I'm making now is that we have been ignoring the most important thing this whole time. We need to get to the South Coast.
Eridu rubs his face, streaming the blood across it, and then puts his hand on Eigner's shoulder, leaving a blood smear on Eigner's armor, and says, I was going to do those horrible things to someone, and it was going to be me. I was going to enact what I felt to be the proper punishment for their behaviors on myself. But there are parts of me that I thought I killed a long time ago that are still alive. I still seem to follow in the wake of my father, as I have tried so hard to avoid. Perhaps it is time for me to go on and leave whatever events are befalling Cold Harbor, whatever war might be in the winds to itself. Twin Harbors.
Yeah. Eridu, don't say things like that. And don't say things like that right now, when there's so much to do? We need to meet up with Alton. We need to hire a wagon. And we need to go south. I've got a bad feeling about this, Eridu. And I need you by my side to protect me.
I will follow your lead. You've never steered me wrong before.
I hope I can keep steering you in the right direction. Come, let's find Alton.
Yes.
So I never left the room. I am not yet. At least I will. I am looking to see if I can find what I would think would be any important personal possessions for those who have for the victims.
So you're still in the sewers in that room.
Correct.
Oh, that's a mischievous look. I like that.
Could you... Sorry.
Drew's about to roll for mischief right now.
You have absolutely the worst poker face.
Yeah.
Could you make a perception check for me, please?
Okay.
I'm so excited. What's gonna happen?
Josh, were you trying to say that you can read Drew's poker face?
Yeah. Somehow. A disadvantage because I'm exhausted. Hold on. Fortunately, I have pretty good perception. 15.
Okay.
Higher number was 19. Natural.
You hear footsteps, and looking around, you don't see anyone, but you hear something leaving the room off to the side, the one that Eigner looked in. But you don't see anyone.
Move my hunter's mark over to it.
Trying to shift your hunter's mark, it falls short of finding anything. You look around, you find a few small personal effects, little stone trinkets, carvings and things that will belong to people. Nothing of any great importance, but things that people might appreciate having back.
Yeah, things that are comforting. That would be like, I'm not like looking for like arcane focuses or anything like that. Like we're talking like, yeah. Like just things that I feel like would be of personal value that they would, that if they got that, it would provide them any level of relief.
On your way out of the room, provided that you're done with everything.
Yeah, I get everything. I guess. Yeah. Unless I stumble across anything magical and awesome, then no, that's everything.
On your way out of the room, you notice that in the pile of blood near Rafallen, there are some footsteps that don't belong to Eridu, Eigner, or yourself.
I don't follow that shit.
You follow them. They lead towards the exit, towards Eigner and Eridu, and they stop a good few yards away from them.
Is there, and this will probably end up incurring an investigation, but is there, like, would I notice any kind of, like, landmark or purpose? Like, so for example, like, would it be on the edge of, like, a barrier of light? Or would I feel, like, would I be able to see, like, some kind of indicator that it would be a reason for it to stop, other than just it's randomly stops or it runs out of blood to step on?
Give me a survival skill check, please.
At the very least, I'm getting things that I am good at. Dang you. 15.
The footsteps stop because the blood has sort of run out.
Okay.
Oh yes, footprints, not footsteps. Yes. But yeah, they've run out of material. Is the main cause there. So it seems that whoever it was is leaving the sewers.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming it's just like regular footsteps, not like monstrous footsteps. That's just an assumption. Okay. Okay. Cool. I join my friends.
Okay. So all of you meet up, presumably leaving the sewers. What's the direction everyone's headed in at the moment?
Well, while we're in Twin Harbor, Eigner is going to find a stable and negotiate a good price on 2 strong, healthy horses, a solid, like, not enormous wagon, because we also want to, like, be able to move somewhat quickly, but a nice solid wagon. He's going to negotiate a good price on that. You can bill me later. You can come up with the number and I'll, like, try and work out the money or whatever. But anyway, gonna invest in getting a situation like that going on. Then we're going to pick up some supplies and embark first to the encampment to check on the druids and all of that. Pack up some more things there, and then we're gonna head south.
Okay.
Yep. Eridu probably will just kind of follow. Actually, Eridu, recognizing the importance of not walking around the town covered in blood, will probably go home and clean himself up.
Yeah. We set up a rendezvous point before we leave.
All right.
And good.
Sorry. No, go on.
I was going to say, it's getting to the point where I got to get going soon. So,
I was. What I was about to say was, rather than throwing anything else your way, because the plan is just to allow you guys to travel south, we will call an end there. So no cliffhangers, no major thing going on, but there's a lot to digest. There's
a lot to
A lot of
digest.
exposition.
Yes, definitely.
A little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, a little bit. Thank you very much, everyone who has come to watch. We apologize again for it being shorter than usual, but
my fault.
It's all his fault.
Yeah, blame Asa.
It really is my fault. I mean, you can blame my kids, but it's my fault. I could just neglect them and not go.
Seems reasonable.
Doing, But, are you guys planning on hanging out and talking for a little bit after this?
Maybe.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It's up to you. We'll figure that out.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. We're going to have a quick break. When we come back, Asa will not be here.
Sure.
But thank you very much. Stick around if you want to listen to us chat nonsense.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We'll
Take
be
it
right
easy.
back.
I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you very much.